Okay. Wait for that YouTube. There we go. All right. Evening. The holiday starts short. Lighters. Somewhere I have lighters. Yeah. Anyway. Christiana. Good evening. I almost said good morning. My schedule's never firm. Julia Rock. Good evening. Lynn. Grinder. Ashlyn. DVD no. All right, so we got 10 in here. Well, that's what you do. Linda M., good evening. So I wanted to talk about the notes, the notebooks. Oh, 15. Some people piling in. Those who want to share, that would be nice. The notes. So, I had a problem with the notes, right? And Blue Nose, and the coil book being used, right? And you go forward. This is Leather's notebook. I haven't quite understood this part, the folded pages, which then don't appear with a crease. But anyway, moving along. We get all of Chris Leather's notes. And for the 19th, he's got an entry at the top of the page. But for some reason, he doesn't decide to start writing in it until... What are you eating there? They got the photocopy one, which this kind of seems odd to me. You go from color. So if they're scanning pages, why all of a sudden are you going to a black and white? Right? Somebody's purposefully, I'm just weird like that. I go through the motions of what a person would do. So a person is changing the scanner to black and white or changing the file. Why would you do that? Black and white. And then now starts again in his official notebook at 12:33. So everything's all done. All right. So reviewing his interview. Campbell's interview. Let's have a little look at that. Transcript recorded interview. Chris Leather, who was present. Paul Thompson, Rachel Young. I quite like this lady. I give her full marks. She asks questions, good questions. Amanda Bird, Emma Ronsley. And then we've got Paul Thompson, who's the investigator. Mark Underhill, I believe that he also is an investigator. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. Emma Ronsley, Amanda Bird. What said those? Lori Ward. Okay. What do you guys like to call her? Barbie. Patricia McPhee. Both these people, Department of Justice on Lori Ward's side, Patricia McPhee. So, okay, well, Seamus may be just crazy about those notes, right? Let's go forward. One moment. Almost right away, they're into it. All right, so let's do some reading. Page 3. Oh gosh, those glasses are dirty. Doug, these notes should be front and center. Oh, I think there should be some other things front and center, but this is a problem. And we'll go through specifically why. Glad to have you aboard, Doug. Rob, good evening. Balin, where's your friend? They're going to be along? Looking for some material to pleasure themselves to. So he's going to move to Ottawa headquarters. Federal Transformation Modernization Project. Yeah, all right, whatever. And still chief superintendent's job. Yes, it is. I won't take you to them, but for the record, counsel the Attorney General, Rachel Young of Canada, has also supplied your training records, and your hand. We do have some of your handwritten notes. Note the date that this is being done, right? July 6th. So just, what are we talking about? 3 weeks ago? A little over 3 weeks ago when he appeared, it was under 3. Let's see here. One moment. Some of your handwritten notes. And, Rachel, were you writing in one notebook for everything you had to do right away into it? Or do you have separate notebook for things related to the mass casualty? Chris Leather. I was using a single notebook, and from time to time on the weekends or after hours, I would make notes on blank pieces of paper, lined paper, and include them in my notebook after the fact. If so, Rachel says, if we see vetting for irrelevant, like whole pages blacked out, does that mean it's about something else or another case? I would think so, because using only one notebook, and as you saw the organizational chart, a number of units that report to, it's more than likely unrelated to the file. And why don't you use page numbered notebooks? Okay, so understanding the principle of the notebooks is important, right? They are issued, in the officer's case, it is a ledger and a large ledger. They're all issued that. That's their official use. They're supposed to use that. Sorry, I wanted to make a correction too. Sorry, I know I'm going off topic here. I wanted to make a correction about Campbell. Now, I've been on about Campbell and the critical incident package and why Bernard hasn't been or was not activated that night, because he's a negotiator, right? Crisis negotiator, and I believe he's head of that team, if I recall correctly. So he's part of the critical incident package, yet wasn't activated. Now, that would be up to Jeff West, I believe, to actually make the phone call. So Chris Leather, Darren Campbell would have communicated, yes, I okay the critical incident package, and then it would be Jeff West phoning people to get them out. So maybe I might be off base on this one about the fact that Campbell would have made the call. Did he activate it? I still have a question about whether it was activated or not, or why, in fact, Bernard wasn't activated. So who made that choice? But I do want to clear up that it's quite possible that it goes a little lower on the food chain. I would make notes on blank pieces of paper or lined paper on weekends or after hours, and then include them in my notebook after the fact. Okay. So now he's answering about the blacked out portions. This again goes back to, I seem to be okay. The blacked out portions are coming from the federal government. This is not to the MCC. So anytime you see blacked out stuff, that is to do with coming from DOJ vetting process, coming that way blacked out. They're the ones that are deciding it. The white out portions, those are mass casualty commissions. So there's two different types of redactions that are being made. Chris Leather, I would think so, because they're only using one notebook types of reports compared to unrelated to the file. Why don't you use page numbered notebooks? Why do I, or don't I? I don't see any page numbers on your notebooks. Why don't you? I did for part of the notes, and I think probably the tranche that you haven't received yet. Beginning of July, little over 3. Well, at this point in time, when the mass casualty did their stuff, we're talking about a little under 3 weeks then. This interview. And yet, by this point in time, the Mass Casualty Commission both hasn't been able to interview Chris Leather and has not got all of the notes. I made a switch I want to say in 2021. The simple reason is because when I arrived at the division, commanding officer Bergerman of the day gave us a binder with our name on a nameplate, and these are the notebooks that fit. Okay, the ledgers that fit in the notebooks. And then not partway through the 18th, 19th, but partway through my tenure here, I switched it because I found the numbered notebooks to be a better option. Okay, I'm getting already some hints here. Something's not right? Obviously, and then this shenanigans with the inserting pages. Come on. Sorry, I backed up too far. Was it 56? I think 56 is where it starts. No, 55. I'm sorry. Shenanigans about the notebooks, right? Oh, come on. Fuck off. No! Wait 1 moment, please. We can do some hellos while I try and reboot this and see if I can get it. It doesn't make me very happy. Why does nothing ever go as planned? Never. I'm only human after all. This is going to take a moment. Just got to open up a lot of other COM numbers I'm looking at. Seamus broke Five Eyes internet. Probably. Tara, evening. Cindy, JJ, Ken, Judy, Point Fire. Okay, Christine, good morning. Or see, I'm so used to it now. It's like ingrained in me. That's scary. Okay. Why is it over here? Interesting. Which page was I even on here? Fee. Modernization. All right. Blank pieces of paper. What is that? I don't want to improve anything. Go away. And then partway through 1819, but partway through my tenure, I switched over because I found the notebooks would be a better option. Because, Rachel, because you'd agree with me, it makes it easier to see if you've got everything and what order things are in, right? Right, says Chris. So the notes that we do have, okay, again, they're not fully disclosing. And again, I won't take you through the laundry list, but what we have in relativity, and I've explained relativity right to you guys. Relativity, if we had access to relativity, going to get a lot more answers, are from 5 notebooks, and we have them in 15 PDF documents coming from DOJ. I did email counsel for the Attorney General of Canada the list, what I believe has been produced to the commission to confirm that everything's they've sent so far. I just want to ask you about a couple of them because you're in person, you're the person who would know, of course, right? So you're going to ask Leather because it's his books. He's going to know. He's the guy. Great. Should be stressing this. So start with book 1, section 2, which is 86 pages. It's COM number 51406. I'm just going to share my screen. I think maybe Trish is also going to bring it up on the screen. There, Lori Ward. I do have some notes, okay, DOJ. I do have some notes that Janice provided, and I didn't have a chance to email them to you this morning, Rachel, but we do have sorted out a few things. Okay, says Rachel, that's fine, and I won't dwell on this too long. I just want to make sure that I understand. So the document I just read out, the first large number of pages are blacked out. Is that because they are all irrelevant above? Just scrolling up so you can see. Patricia McPhee, okay, so now we're into Attorney General. Can you give the COM number again, Rachel? Rachel Young, 51406. Also sharing my screen. You should be able to see it on the Teams call. Chris Leather, thank you. Rachel Young, thanks. So, from what we can determine, the relevant notes start at page 55. Why is it gone in this order? Now I don't know. Now I've lost. I had it lined up. Okay, anyways. All right, so the COIL notebook, right? Do you have the originals there, Chief Superintendent? Lori Ward, DOJ. Look where people speak. Who's she speaking to? Who's Rachel Young? Good lawyer. I like her. Who's she speaking to? The person she should be speaking to, Chris Leather. Who's answering? DOJ. Yeah, The problem is that they won't have the page numbers that the PDF has. Right, says Rachel Young. Well, the date is April 19th, so what it looks like from the PDF scan that we can see, this looks like some loose pages are inserted. Seamus, you crazy person. What are you talking about? It doesn't matter. So you mentioned that that's what you do if it's after hours, and I guess don't have a notebook with you. Is that right? Chris Leather. That's correct. Should be end of story, right? And so, Rachel, all we can do is work with the scans from DOJ, filled with redactions from DOJ, all the scans that we have. So then we've got the scans of what it seems to be from that other, it looks like a small, right? And that was why I was waving the fucking stupid coil notebook around. Lori Ward. You talking? Who's supposed to be talking here? Can I just read? Sorry, Rachel, can I just read what Janice said about this? Rachel Young. Yes, Lori. She says, Rachel Young. And just for the record, Janice Ma, M-A-H, is the Department of Justice paralegal. Lori Ward. She says, quote, start date is April 7th, 2020. Continuation of section 1. Can confirm the loose pages are from April 19th only. They start at page 55 and run to 66. End quote. She says, quote, not sure of the explanation. Maybe a situation where he did not have his notebook as April 19th was on the weekend. End quote. Rachel Young. Okay, but just on that, rather than on Janice's speculation, we do have the author of the notes here. I'd rather hear that from him. Boom. Who answers? Lori Ward. No, he can confirm or deny that. The file is up to page 54, she says, is the notebook of pages, not the loose pages. The end of the section is, the end date of section 2 is April 2nd. What is going on with you? So, my dog. Yes, you've got a bone. I like bones. I tend to go after bones. Rachel Young, yes. Lori Ward, he can opine. Opine. What does the definition of opine mean again? To hold a state of opinion. He can have an opinion about his own notebook. He can opine on what, if it was a weekend or whatever. You can have an opinion on whether it was a weekend. Rachel Young, yes. And on the loose pages, it's got date and stamped with your name and title there. Finally, Chris Leather gets to speak. Yes, I have those here. Rachel Young. Okay, so yeah, as the message from Miss Ma, Department of Justice paralegal, said, we've got the notes from April 19th down to, it ends on page 66 of the PDF counter. Then on page 67, it We're still on April 19th, but starting at 12:33. You've got them back in the notebook there. Can you just explain why that happened? Chris Leather. Yeah, as I noted earlier, being that it was a Sunday, 6:30 in the morning, is the first entry time I have. I would have not had this notebook with me at home. And so I have a scratch pad on my home desk, which I use to take down notes from various phone calls that I've had leading up to 12:33. Post everything. Very important. At which point, or there shortly there before, I returned to the office and then started writing directly into my notebook, which was on my desk at work. What a remarkable coincidence. Rachel Young. Okay. And do you have any notes for the 18th? Chris Leather. No, my last notebook entries are for Friday, April 17th. I don't have any notes for the 18th, for the evening before. Rachel Young. So similarly, I want to ask you about another section of book 1, which is section 3, which is 56 pages and is COM 51407. Let's have a look at that. One moment. Just give me 1 second here. So we're all following along the same stuff. She is 51407. April 21st to April 31st. Okay. So the next notebook. Okay. Book 1, section 3. I drop that in here. All of his notes, by the way, are, well, I haven't been able to figure out if all of them are out, but somewhat. Okay, and so she wants to go to, if you can scroll to the end of that, I'll share my screen so that we're in the notebook at the top starting April 21st, 2020, and then I'm scrolling to the very end. So looks like this says April 31st, which doesn't exist. How many months or days in the month of April? Oh, see, we're going to start running into some more weird stuff here. April 31st, May 1st, April 31st. You following? Lined pages from a ledger, blacked out DOJ, irrelevant, irrelevant, irrelevant. Oh, what's this here now? Now we've got a white page. Just a piece of paper. Inserted. Oh, more white pages. Now we have a scanned page. This was a photocopy. Now we're down to scanned from something with no date on it. Oh, this is right fuckaroonies, man. Right fuckaroonies. April 31st, which obviously doesn't exist because there's only 30 days, which doesn't exist. But anyway, moving along. Page 52 of the PDF counter, we're in the notebook, and then on to the next page, we have unlined pages. Starts with D. Moser 550 for the rest of the notebook. Not quite, because actually there's photocopies and then there's scan shit going down. So can you just tell us? And then it looks like different pages at the last 2 pages starting May 2nd. Can you explain that? Chris Leather. Yes. So to your point about the dates, that I can't give you a page number, because the page that starts with A and then ending in A. Thompson should be Friday, May 1st. Cash with the page that starts with R. Doyle, AP, or AP. Cash with the page that starts, and these are blank pages at the end of my notebook that starts with Costa IMT. Those are from Friday, May 1st. And then the unlined pages, that is also incorrectly dated Sunday. It should be Sunday. Sunday. It should be Sunday, May 3rd, not Sunday, May 2nd. So the calls took place on May 3rd, not on the 2nd, because Sunday was the 3rd, not the 2nd. So that's an error on my part of writing these down, the date on the page of paper, which, by the way, doesn't have a stamp. Again, on Sunday, me at home grabbed a piece of paper from my printer and took those notes down related to the 2 calls I had on that day. Lori Ward, DOJ. So I think you're seeing those pages, Rachel. Rachel Young. Yes. Lori Ward. Oh, yes. Okay. Rachel Young. Because the next notebook starts on May 4th. So I thought that we were missing May 3rd. And I wasn't sure at the top of the page. And that's the last page of the section, page 56 on the counter. I thought maybe May 3rd was redacted out, but is that just a phone number then under the irrelevant redaction, which says 1877? Who the fuck is she talking to? It's like, Leather doesn't even have a mouth. In comes Lori Ward again. Yes, it's a phone number. Chief Superintendent Leather. It's a conference call number that's been redacted. Rachel Young. Thank you. And so we've got book 5, which is section 1 is 61 pages, COM 5962. Let's have a look at that. Are you following? Fuck, man. I don't even know how many days is in a month. I use pieces of paper. I'm not blaming Chris Leather. I think Chris Leather is getting the shaft. All right, so here we go with this one. I'll drop that in here. You guys can follow along if you want, or kind of like the clocks that don't work. The dates don't work. Nothing seems to work. No, nothing does. All right. I'll put those on the screen so that the notebook comes from November 5th. Now we're way off somewhere else, to January 25th, 2021. So she's doing the right thing. She's gone through, she's trying to see examples of what the hell is going on. Is this a normal thing? But it's just one section. So This is one where the version the commission received was missing pages 35 to 48 and 52 to 54. Why? It's not even applicable? You can't even stick a black box on it. No, just like Campbell's book, you're going to cut it out. And then try and pass it off as, this one is a simple one, folks. It's a really simple one. It's a fucking book. It's a notebook. You subpoena the notebook? Here's the notebook. That's it. You don't have to do all kind of vetting. You don't have to cut out pages and try and play funny games and pretend that they're there when they're not there. You've removed them. Redacting everything. Some of these redactions are really interesting too. Not even in the same time range. So I'm not asking for the content of any discussions between you and the council. I just wanted to confirm, was that your decision or theirs? Which pages were sent on to the commission? Boom. There we go. There's another one of those. Who decided? Which pages were sent on to the commission and when? Chris Leather starts to speak. You have those, Patricia McPhee. Boom! She's in there like a dirty shirt. Cuts him off. Sorry, Rachel, can you give me the comm number? I couldn't. Did you say that it was 59352? Rachel Young. Yes. And I'm sharing it on my screen right now. What the fuck? You're there. You can see it. Why do you have to ask? Because he started speaking. Patricia McPhee, you can't really see it that well, so I'm trying to bring it up. Rachel Young. So there was a section starting Friday, November 20th, 2020. Now back to the discussion. Much of that is marked irrelevant, but there are some pages missing, some pages that initially the commission didn't get and then got later. So I was just asking whether that was Chief Superintendent Leather's decision or council's decision. A council. Remember, he has his own council retained. Chief Superintendent, would it be helpful if I went and got my notebooks from my office that you could see them, or you don't say? That we'd like to have your notebooks. Okay, when I give you my notebooks, it's going to be filtered through DOJ, who will then vet, who will then pretend that pages are there which aren't, take out pages and then pretend that they're, nothing's missing. Fuck everybody over, you'll get that. Or do you just hand over the book? Not a Duffy. Lori Ward, DOJ. Well, sorry, the question is, did you discuss with council what would be redacted or what would be provided to the commission? Did you just give them the notebooks to them? Rachel Young. Well, that wasn't quite the question. I don't, and again, obviously the conversation between you and council, that would be his own, probably, are privileged. It's just to know when there are a number of pages that were not produced initially to the commission, was that your decision to hold those pages back, or a council decision. Oh, you don't. Yeah, they're getting fucked. Good for you, Rachel Young. Chris Leather responds. If you're talking about the redactions in the first instance versus what came in the second tranche, the second release, I don't know. Why? He doesn't know. It's DOJ. One moment, please. Grab yourself a coffee. I just need a moment. I'll tell you, we're really lucky. I'm really lucky. We're really lucky. So somebody just called and let me know that it was post this meeting. We'll get that verified, but it was post this meeting that Leather retained counsel. So my apologies. If that's incorrect, then they're referring to counsel of DOJ, Attorney General, all this other fucking goo, not his own lawyer yet. Patricia McPhee now, Attorney General. Wait, Rachel, can you clarify? Because, I mean, we can't even recall, because obviously the paralegals are, getting the stuff mostly to get out. Mostly. What was the time difference in these disclosures that you're asking him about? What the fuck, man? All for a dead man. This is going to go nuclear. It's just warming up. Like I've been saying for a while, it's just simmering. Wait. Rachel Young, back to commission lawyer. Good. It was a number of months, I believe. Miss Ward did provide a letter explaining which pages were missing from the initial productions. So the pages are 35 to 48 and 52 to 54 of that document. And so I'm not necessarily asking about the redactions themselves, but just the actual scanned pages not appearing in the version that was sent to the commission initially. Who's talking again? Oh, Patricia McPhee. It's very unclear. What was the letter from? What did Lori say? So now we've got a debate going on between the Attorney General and DOJ. In comes DOJ. So we're talking about the pages that were not sent initially. And you don't, this, back to Attorney General, Attorney General, Patricia McPhee. There's a way. There's no way to discuss this without She started to say something. Asking him whether we had discussions over this, what the fuck? Rachel Young. No, we've been through this before with Superintendent Campbell. And Miss Ward has already clarified by letter, I believe, about this. So I don't think it's something that should be, that difficult to explain. Lori Do you want to just explain what your letter said, and maybe that will assist? This is Gong Show. Lori Ward. Well, okay. I think it's been explained already for the record that DOJ, in processing and vetting of documents, held back some of the pages of the notes for privilege reviews. And those pages were ultimately produced. So, what you're asking is if Chief Superintendent Leather had involvement in the discussions about holding back those pages. Yeah. Rachel Young, whether it was his decision or a council decision. Patricia McPhee. What the fuck? Can this guy just answer? I think there's no way of getting around that. You're getting into solicitor client. Oh, now this card's going to get played. I mean, Miss Ward's letter explains that, what happened in that with respect to those notes. Rachel Young. Well, Superintendent Campbell was happy to say it was a council decision. Not his. The fucking goo lawyers in the fucking federal government is keeping all the shit from people about it. So I think I can ask the same question of Chief Superintendent Leather, says Rachel. Lori Ward. Well, I think it. Chief Superintendent Leather. Oh, he cuts her off. I didn't have any role in the decision about the notes that were released to the commission. But to be clear, I would rather look at the notes that were redacted. But I'm more speaking in general. Oh, usually that means something. Right, as opposed to this specific entry. I'm saying in general, I didn't have those I didn't make the decision on what was released to the MCC. And now we have two, Gamble and Leather. Okay, thank you. And so what I believe is the last notes are from COM. So this is book 5, section 3, COM 53326, which is 80 pages. And the date range on that is December 17th, 2020 to January 25th, 2021. And I'm just going to show you the end of that notebook. The dates at the end of that notebook say January 2020, but I think it's obvious from the context that it should be 2021. If you agree, I'll just show you. I think whatever's going on here with these notes and whatever, somebody doesn't know the fucking number of days in a month, or they're dropping hints, putting the wrong year, putting things in their notes that maybe might ask questions, which I'll deal with at a later point here. Which book are you looking at? Book 5, section 3, book 5, section 3. I'll have it on the screen in a moment, says Rachel Young. So this is the first page starting December 17th, 2020, and I'll just show you. So I'm going to page 18 on the PDF counter. Might as well pull this up, right? Which one are we on here? 5, 3. Jesus. This is a right fucking mess, man. 53326. COM00533. Oh, mistake. I'm sorry. The fuck. They want to build this website like this so you can't find anything. Loading, loading, loading. All right, so she says page 18 of the PDF counter. We've got December 30th. Let's go. Wednesday, December 30th, 2020. Monday, January 4, 2021. Next page. All right, let's see what she's got. All right, December 30th. Then it goes to Monday, January 4, 2021. So I think, to be clear, the transition between those years, I think that's clear. But then, then go to the very end. It's Monday, January 25th, the last day that we see. Does it say January? It does say January 25th, 2020, and that's what I'm saying. Would you agree that it should be 2021? Let's have a look. So you've got 2021 in here. God, look back here. It's got January 4th, 2020. On the stamp. Maybe his stamp doesn't update, or he hasn't updated it. All 2020 notes, or he hasn't rolled his counter. Oh, 2020. Here we go. January 21st, 2021. Now back to 2020 with the stamp. 25th, 2020 stamp. So maybe you just didn't adjust the stamp, but still, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Good. Uh-oh. That's not from his notebook. This is not a notebook. You can see the notebook. What's going on? That's not a notebook. That's a stack of pages. I've noticed this one on other people's notebooks. That was the first thing a while back I started noticing, was they would do the, and again, I'll have to show it with examples, but they would photocopy. So left, right, it would go chronologically, right? Left, right, left, right, left, right. We go left, right, left, right, left, right. Then all of a sudden it would go left, 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 left. Then it would go left, right, left, right, left, right. So you could tell that they were, and look at the margins or the borders of the pages, and you'll be able to see these crazy things. You have to pay attention to, just like way back at the beginning. You can tell that the Clinton video is edited, right? Just because you watch the background, you watch for the clips, where the people suddenly disappear. Clipping, removing. Okay, so we've all had to look at this now. Monday, January 25th. And, well, hell, you can't even see what the hell that is. All right. January 25th, 2020. Okay, so it does say January 25th, 2020. That's what I'm saying. Would you not agree that it should be 2021? Chris Leather, I would agree that's an error with my stamping. Okay, that's explainable, but what about the last pages? And so, as I understand, those are the notes, the last notes that we have from you. Miss Ward has already said she'll produce the rest. This is just slightly over 3 weeks ago. This is 2.5 years later, almost. What the fuck? Over 2 years since this commission has been doing this, and you can't produce the pages? And why is it going through this crazy stream to get there? So, Miss Ward, were you saying they already do have some of those coming? Some of those coming? Or I think they're in Janice's possession. I think she's reviewing them. Janice Maw. Rachel Young. Okay. And Chief Superintendent Campbell, you did continue to work on the issues related to the mass casualty since then, right? So I guess she's just thoroughly confused. Who wouldn't be? Chris Leather. I did. Rachel Young. Okay, and we'll get to more of that later. You oversaw issue management team functions disclosure, which functions to provide disclosure to the commission. Now, remember, who was involved in disclosure? Butcher. Mike Butcher. Bergerman. And I threw out a bluff then when I started that. It was a bluff. And I said, and you can go back and find it, April 28th, maybe that was when I did it, 2021. Over a week before it hit any other media. And I said that Butcher, wouldn't it be funny, because I use like little breadcrumbs, I don't always speak clearly. Wouldn't it be interesting if Mike Butcher was involved with this one? Mike Butcher poof. Disclosure analyst. Civilian employee. RCMP. Is he mixed up in this goo? You think? Maybe. We'll get into that more later, but you oversaw the issues management team, one of those whose functions was to provide disclosure to the commission. In that phase, Chris Leather, in that phase, I was in charge of the issues management team. They were just beginning to collect. I'm not sure. At this time, John Robin got here. Oh no. That we had made any disclosures to answer that accurately, but we were setting up that transition. Yes, for disclosure. You said the obligation to produce relevant material is ongoing? Chris Leather, I do. Rachel Young. And are you able to help us with why we didn't have your notes for the last year and a half until we're about to get them, I guess? I don't, says Chris Leather. I'd have to look back at the specific date range the request for my note was for my notes. I was responding to those as we went along, and I don't recall a request for beyond 2021. That doesn't mean it's not there, but if it was, I wasn't reminded to produce. Okay, and so Miss Ward, is that the rest of its coming then? Presumably in the next week or so? Lori Ward. Rachel Young. Obviously, we'd like the participants to have it before Chief Superintendent Leather testifies. Lori Ward. Oh, yeah. We're expecting it before he testifies, for sure. Rachel Young. Well, the commission has asked you bring your original notes with you on the days that you testify, Chief Superintendent Leather. It sounds like that would be very helpful to you in any event. So can you please do that? Up to, including your notes to the present day, if there's anything relevant. Okay. Chris Leather. Will do. Rachel Young. Did you want to take a break and just go and get them now? If they're in your office. This is the end of me taking you through this kind of inventory process, but I'm happy to take a break if you'd rather have them in front of you. Chris Leather. Well, asking me about any of my entries in my notebooks while you may be bringing them up on screen, if I have got them here, I can pull them up, quickly pull them up. I would appreciate that. Rachel Young. Yeah, you're going to use, like, what Looney Tunes? He's looking at what's already gone through the fucking and out the shitter in the back end. He's looking at his own notes that they've already vetted, not his own. Yes, says Rachel Young. So, how much time do you need? So let's take a break for this. Chris Leather. I'm steps from my office. 5 minutes is more than enough. Rachel Young. All right. If you can stop the recorder for 5 minutes, Paul, you just want to note the time. Paul Thompson, the investigator. Yeah, it's 10:33. 12:33, 10:33, 33. Oh, God. For the break. Thank you. Rachel Young. Oh, you're on mute. Interesting. One moment, please. All right, let's go to the video the other day. Thank you ever so much for doing that stuff for us. I'm just trying to get the video queued up.
PC interview where you were interviewed by Ms. Young.
Let's start.
Chief Superintendent, I just want to get some clarification because you talked about, I think a couple of different lawyers and perhaps you were talking about your preparations for both your testimony before the Mass Casualty Commission, but did I hear us correctly? You were referencing your preparations to give evidence before the House of Commons Committee.
Well, I was specifically referring to the preparation for my testimony for the MCC interview.
Where you were interviewed by Ms. Young.
where I was advised by DOJ counsel.
Oh,
And are you saying that, that the lawyers that prepared you for that were counsel for the Attorney General of Canada?
Yes,
And that would be Ms. Ward and Ms. McPhee?
yes,
And when you said that that you received advice to not raise the issue of this communication with Commissioner Lucky, was that advice given to you by counsel for the Attorney General?
yes, I was trying to make the distinction between a proactive and a reactive disclosure of the information. That's the nature of the conversation we had. That, of course, if I was asked during the course of the interview or today, that I would respond truthfully and with the full extent of the question, but it had more to do with whether I should bring it up proactively during the course of my interview with Ms. Young or not.
proactive.
And sorry, earlier you had mentioned that that you had sought advice from your own private counsel. That's a separate issue, is it? In terms of your disclosure of the call with Commissioner Lucky?
No, it pertains to this very issue post my interview, given my discomfort with how things proceeded and the fact that it didn't surface during the course of the interview. And I felt I needed independent legal counsel to get advice on how to manage the situation on a go-forward basis.
Oh. How he's uncomfortable with how things were being handled. Oh, this is getting fucking warm.
All right. So your testimony today is that in preparing to be interviewed by the Mass Casualty Commission, specifically by Ms. Young, you met with counsel for the Department of Justice, Ms. Ward and Ms. McPhee.
Yes,
And in the course of that preparation, you were advised not to bring up this communication with Commissioner Lucky.
yes,
And it wasn't raised by Commission counsel in the interview.
correct.
And to the best of your knowledge, the fact of that phone call had not been raised in any other form before you were interviewed by Ms. Young.
So to the best of my knowledge, it had not.
You had no reason to think that Ms. Young would be aware of that phone call previously.
No, I had no reason to believe that, and certainly not from the interview.
And what you're saying is that after that interview was completed, you felt uncomfortable and sought independent legal advice.
Yes, for the very, here we are today dealing with this very issue and on how to address this very issue should it surface. And here we are, and I felt I needed independent counsel on how to navigate that.
You were concerned that it might be viewed as you're improperly holding back relevant information.
Correct.
And you were fully aware of the fact that in being interviewed by the Mass Casualty Commission, that it was critically important that you provide all relevant information.
Yes,
Taking a fall.
And that's why you were uncomfortable and sought separate advice.
correct.
Not good. Look at him. He's looking at him.
Is there
Where was he looking? Where was he looking? Barbie. Did you see that? Oh, this is getting fucking right mess, man.
any other information that you were advised to not raise that you think is relevant to the substance of this inquiry?
There were two issues that I raised. One pertained to the phone call and notes around the commissioner. The second refers to what is known as a wellness review that was conducted on the senior officers of the division last summer and into the fall by an independent third-party consulting firm in Ottawa, focusing on the wellness of the senior officers in Nova Scotia, related to the impacts from Portapic, and more specific to myself, I can say for certain that during the course of the interview that I had with the consultant or the investigator for that report, that I, on the record in a recording, made comments about the meeting with Commissioner Lucky on April 28th, So there we had a recorded statement taken from me that was provided by me to an investigator, albeit, as has been stated by DOJ counsel, on an internal matter, nonetheless contained my depiction or assessment of that call some year plus later, which would have had much more context than I had on the 28th, because as you recall from my testimony, either here or at SecU, how caught off guard by that I was, and then to learn what I did subsequently, and was then able to share my observations and thoughts about what had occurred on the 28th in much more detail to that investigator.
Okay, so what is he doing? He's putting it on a record somewhere else. Anybody ever heard of a dead man switch? He's building up his, in case something ever goes wrong, it's somewhere with somebody. He's trying to get it out. The wellness one on the executive is important too, right? Because that comes up later. I'm not going to go in there too much right now, but they want to know. That was when they asked about the wellness, how they participated in certain things, and sometimes they wouldn't, and then they would stop. That's wellness check.
Sorry, what was the organization that conducted that?
Quintet Consulting. I don't know the rest of the name. They're a well-known firm in Ottawa that the RCMP hired to conduct this review.
And your understanding was that the scope of that review was to assess the.
It's funny to watch myself because I'm just, I can see where it's going.
Impact of the mass casualty on senior officers.
Yes, and then to make recommendations on how we could, as a management team, look to support the wellness of the senior officers in the division specifically. It did not extend to the NCOs or the constables. It was just because of the impacts that we were seeing. In particular, 3 chief superintendents, Robin, Gray, and myself, and our correspondence to the deputy commissioner and the CO about the need to address this, come up with a plan, and implement some recommendations. It was obviously the decision of headquarters to hire this firm who are specialists to conduct this review.
A wellness check. A wellness check. Just for the senior officers on how this call and all of this shit was handled. Not good. Not good at all. Not good at all. I don't know if you guys see things that I did through the glasses per se that I see. This is bad. This is very bad.
And I can just say for myself, again, my statement would contain relevant information pertaining to the meeting of April 28th.
Look at him. Look where he's watching. He's kind of just pausing.
I mean, say the review was intended to examine the impacts on senior officers. Can you be more specific? What kind of impacts were being reviewed?
The wellness. So it truly was an internal wellness review that Quintet was hired to oversee. And if not all, the majority of our officer cadre were interviewed to share their thoughts and feelings and recommendations on a course forward to help the CO and myself and the admin and personnel officer with a roadmap, a plan.
A roadmap and a plan. Help us with that. The CO, the crops officer, and who? John Robin. Oh, no. Shouldn't have left the business card, man. I get wind of anything, I generally follow through. I guess now you're seeing it.
To help support senior officers, whether it's transfers or whatever the case may be, based on the feedback that was received and the recommendations made.
To the best of your knowledge, was Chief Superintendent Campbell interviewed as part of that process?
To the best of my knowledge, he was.
And do you recall who interviewed you in that process?
By name, no. He was a retired Navy captain, for what it's worth. I think he was the same principal that did, if not all, the majority of the interviews. But I'm sorry, I don't recall his name.
There we go with siloing again. A retired Navy captain, whether he does know or not, I don't know. Siloing it all with one guy, retired military.
And approximately when was that interview conducted?
June or July of last year.
Yeah, Quintet, I bring it up at lunch. You know,
2021.
Yes.
To the best of your understanding, was a report of any kind completed in that matter?
Yes, it's my understanding.
And have you seen that report?
No, I have not.
Have you received any information about the outcome of the findings of that report?
A week ago, we received an update from the CHRO, or Chief Human Resource Officer, with a series of recommendations for the new commanding officer as it relates to the wellness and supports for the members, senior officers in the division.
by the way, Ferguson's only temporary.
And those recommendations were sent to you. You've seen them personally?
I believe they were sent to all those that participated in the review.
Okay. Do you now, or have you ever had a transcript or a recording of the interview that you gave in that process?
No, and as I recall from the joining instructions, although a recording was taken for the purpose of assisting the investigator consultant, it was noted that it would not be retained, but a summary would be made from the interview.
Oh,
Did you ever receive a summary?
would not be retained. Oh, I'm smelling more O drives. Not keeping it. Doing a wellness check, seeing how they handle stuff. No, that's not it at all.
No.
And you said that it would be relevant to the April 28th meeting that's been raised in this matter. And to be clear, you're talking about the meeting by teleconference with Commissioner Lucky and Superintendent Campbell and Leah Scanlon.
And Ms. Bergerman and Deputy Brennan, yes, that call.
Am I correct that the reason that that became a live issue in the interview that you did as part of that review was given the impact that meeting had on morale?
Well, for me, it was a one-on-one interview. It was based on the impact it had on me, and I was describing the impact that it had on me and why it had the impact it did, and my observations of the impact it had on the other people that I could see in the room with me.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that the content of that interview that was taken last year would...
I disagree with you, Tara. There is somebody sitting there. He's absolutely, no, he's looking at somebody. I don't know if it's Ward. Ward's actually sitting on to the left. So, no, but when I looked at the layout of the room, there are chairs sitting there. I don't know who he's looking at, but he's certainly looking at somebody.
Would have information relevant to that meeting. Is there, to the best of your recollection, did you discuss anything in that meeting that that would not already be known to the Mass Casualty Commission by way of your notes or the reporting of others?
Certainly by way of my notes, because my notes were admittedly rather brief as it relates to that meeting. So yes, there would be additional context and details because I had had the benefit of over a year to reflect.
Okay, so if you notice what I'm waiting, right? I'm waiting. In his notes, this isn't just about the gun stuff, as in the Bergerman gun. No, much bigger. Much bigger. You're going to try and sell that. Trust me. It way bigger. Way bigger.
And learn more about what had gone on in that key 24 hours beforehand in my discussions with Ms. Scanlon and Mr. Campbell.
And given that it was almost a year ago, presumably your memory would have been to some extent fresher than it is now.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I followed your question.
Does the fact that that interview was conducted about a year before now, do you have any sense that your memory at the time when you were counting it in that interview would be better or clearer than it is now, given the passage of time?
I would say yes.
And bring us full circle, do I hear you as saying that it was suggested to you by counsel that you not raise the fact of that interview in preparation for your interview with the Mass Casualty Commission?
I asked specifically whether I should bring that up proactively or not.
And what were you told?
Not to.
And who told you to do that?
Who told? Look at him.
It was Ms. McPhee and Ms. Ward that I had the conversation with in my boardroom in
Bingo.
headquarters.
See? I'm getting it.
So we talked
Fuck,
about the
man.
two issues. One would be the fact of that interview, and the second was the phone call with Commissioner Lucky.
Phone call in my notes and the context and the lead up to the call on the 28th. And for my belief that was now referring to the call on the 28th, that my role in the lead up to the 28th was a key piece of the story, which I began to tell at SECU on the record. And it's on the public record there already. And of course, there's no reason why it shouldn't be
SECU.
available to the MCC.
SECU. I was just looking at SECU today. I know, right? So I still have to post that.
Moving on, Chief Superintendent, we heard earlier in the week from your former colleague, Chief Superintendent Campbell, and one of the things that he said in his testimony was that he was unsatisfied with the results of the H. Strong investigation in terms of the ability to follow up on particularly issues related to how the perpetrator was able to obtain firearms.
Okay, actually, this
Do you
is
share that
relevant.
view?
This is relevant.
Yes.
Would you agree with me that a central part of the H. Strong investigation, because the perpetrator's actions were fairly well known and his responsibility for the mass casualty was known, but there's this key issue of how is that person being permitted to access firearms?
That was a key part of the investigation.
Boom.
To the best of your understanding, that person should not have been able to access firearms in Canada.
That's my understanding, yes.
It was known early on that he didn't have a possession and acquisition license.
Yes,
Certainly didn't have a restricted firearms license.
I would agree.
you were aware of no reason why you would be able to lawfully possess, purchase, or acquire any sort of firearm or ammunition.
He did not have such a license that I was aware of.
And to the extent that
Nervous.
he was able to access or had assistance from others in acquiring those weapons, it would be your view that that directly contributed in a material way to his ability to kill 23 people.
Yes.
And in the course of that investigation, obviously, leads were followed cross-border to the United States, and certain individuals were identified.
Yes.
And while there are jurisdictional issues, it's certainly your view that the way the perpetrator was able to access several weapons is reasonably clear.
I believe the investigation has uncovered the, if not all, certainly the majority of sources of weapons that the perpetrator used in the U.S.
And it's your understanding that the American authorities, the ATF and FBI specifically, have no intention of laying charges. That's the best of your understanding as the matter stands now.
Yes, I mean, I've not made any recent inquiries in that regard, but that's my understanding coming here today.
And to your mind, that leaves that issue unresolved, but to some extent beyond the control of the RCMP.
Yes.
Beyond the control.
You were asked the other day by my learned friend, Mr. Lockyer, about, or I guess your colleague, Mr. Campbell, was asked about a meeting that he had with you shortly before Ms. Banfield was charged. Do you recall that meeting?
I do.
And it was suggested that in the course of that meeting, there was a discussion between you and now Chief Superintendent Campbell about whether charges would be laid in relation to Ms. Banfield.
They were updating me on the investigation, and were seeking my, well, awareness and support for next steps. And I think it's important to make the distinction. They weren't looking for my authority. This was not a formal, I needed to authorize what they were proposing. It was merely an update. This was a course of action that they had charted. And the next step, as I think you've heard from my testimony and Chief Superintendent Campbell, was that the Command Triangle would then pursue discussions with the Advisory Crown on the possibility of charges being laid.
Okay. So something I've talked about for quite a while now. Let's go to a certain part here. Where is it here?
The context of this set of notes?
Are you able to help us with that, Chief
I
Superintendent Levin?
have to go right back to the start of the first entry for this section. I'll look at my notes here.
Just to get a sense of which day and which, it looks like it's the 19th, which time of day
Correct.
would be helpful. Thank you.
So I have that at page 57, April 19th date stamp.
Sorry, I don't have it quite queued.
The bulk of these entries appear still to be my notations related to the call that I had with Steve Halliday when he was providing me with this
Yes.
fulsome update of the events that occurred up to that point, up to.
Okay. So just to narrow down the time frame, because that's important. Post 6:30 till about, I think 7:15 till 7:50, in that range is these notations. Okay.
The top of your page, you note 1 hour, 15 minutes, at least at page 63. Does that give you any reference in terms of a time frame?
Oh my goodness. Did you hear that? Did you hear it in the background? Oh my goodness. Did you hear it? Oh my goodness. There, I'll play it. I'll turn it up loud and proud. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The weight. Why are they oh my goodnessing?
It doesn't ring a bell for me what that notation pertains to right at this minute.
Okay, but to the best of your recollection,
wait
this
for
is a continuation of your note-taking with your conversation with Staff Sergeant Halliday.
Yes.
Okay, if we could go back to page 63, and I'll move on to the next line. And I'm not able to read, it says, I read something, child victim something. Are you able to help us with understanding what that line is?
No child victims known? Is that
They're your notes.
Fast and Furious questions,
Okay.
starred media?
What? 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 Back that up a little bit. It's kind of skating over. Oh my goodness.
Fast and Furious questions,
Okay.
starred media, part hyphen not
Fast and Furious is right there on the screen. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait.
national hyphen SNR, meaning senior management.
All right. I wondered if the child victims had anything to do with interviewing and then interviewing the children who were witnesses to that night, which we know they weren't interviewed that night. So you've given me the context of that. No child victims, no.
No one at that point when he's speaking to me.
Okay. And then the notation Fast and Furious questions. What was that in reference to?
What? Watch this. I wish I had it. I could produce it up here in the background very quickly. But this is what is the boom. Oh my God.
And then the notation Fast and Furious questions. What was that in reference to?
Oh, the mic cues in the background. Did you hear it again? Did you hear it? I can't make it out. Okay, but let's look at the pause. 16 seconds. Oh, not good. This is not good at all.
And then the notation Fast and Furious questions. What was that in reference to?
Oh, he's thinking.
I don't recall.
Just like I've been saying for a while now. And I'm going to post a bunch of shit on Fast and Furious. This is so early in the morning. And he's got Fast and Furious in there. Oh, fuck. You like the movie? Come on, man. Every single one reads weapons trafficking, weapons trafficking, weapons trafficking. You can't hear me? I don't know. Other people seem to be, maybe it's just Ash. Is it just Ash? Chris said he could hear me. Is that better? Good now. Okay. Fast and Furious. I've been saying it for a while. Fast and Furious. It ain't a movie. Trust me. Those of you who are willing to watch me when I'm doing other videos and not just watch this stuff will know. Fast and Furious. Gunwalker. United States. The one that got Holder contempt. A.G. Holder. Big shit. Huge. Huge shit. And if that's what we're talking about here, that is a fucking mess. Do I have some stuff brought up here? I'm going to post a list, a playlist with stuff to do with Fast and Furious. It's not conspiracy theory. It's 100% the real deal. United States kicking weapons out to criminals. Weapons, illegal, smuggling. You follow? It's bad. Yeah. Bad. Very bad. Very bad. Oh, Seamus, you're just conspiracy. Fuck you, I am.
Congress held its first hearings Monday on the Gunwalker. Congress held its first hearings Monday on the Gunwalker scandal that CBS News first uncovered back in February. Officials at the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms encouraged gun shops to sell thousands of assault rifles and other weapons destined for Mexican drug cartels. CBS News investigative correspondent Cheryl Atkinson is in Orlando with the latest on the story that she first broke. Cheryl, good morning.
Good morning, Chris. The idea was to let the little fish go to try to catch the big fish. But insiders say in the process, many lives were needlessly put in danger.
Last June, about 9 months into the ATF operation known as Fast and Furious.
Sorry, what? There is only 2 references to Fast and Furious. And why the fuck would you be thinking about it that early in the morning? I don't think he's thinking about Paul Walker and his movie. Or whatever his fucking name was. No.
Suspects had purchased 1,608 firearms for over $1 million in cash transactions at various Phoenix area gun shops. According to internal documents obtained by CBS News, ATF already knew that 179 of those very weapons had turned up at crime scenes in Mexico and 130 in the U.S.
Yeah.
ATF allowed some of the same suspects accused.
Ugly toenail and fingernail fungus gone in record time.
Whatever.
And from Mexican drug cartels to continue to buy and transfer assault weapons. Sometimes agents say they videotaped the buys.
Oh, he's got a whole bunch of uses.
But didn't interdict the guns. Documents indicate intentions were good. The idea was to allow the transfer of firearms to pinpoint big cartel crooks rather than the small-time traffickers supplying them.
They want to change the dynamic and truly go after the kingpin. So give the kingpin something that they can't resist, this flow of weapons over 15 months, and then track them, find them, and take them down.
But several ATF agents strongly objected to letting any guns walk. Darren Gill was ATF's lead official in Mexico during Fast and Furious.
We're in the business of interdicting weapons. We're not in the business of putting weapons out there for criminals to use. And that's what happened in
Bullshit!
this case.
Sources say putting electronic trackers on the guns usually wasn't possible, and the number of weapons let onto the street in Fast and Furious grew to more than 2,500. One suspect allegedly purchased 20, even 40 weapons at a time, at least 220 over the course of about a year. That included 178 AK-47 type assault rifles and 3 Barrett 50 caliber rifles.
Barrett 50 cals. Seen that come up, even though it's coming from CIS boy. Not even going to touch that. Very rare gun, if in fact that was in possession of Mr. Wortman in Canada. Extremely rare.
Using our sources and reviewing documents provided to us over the past 4 months, we've been able to piece together a disturbing picture of where Fast and Furious guns have turned up so far, at a dozen seizures and crime scenes along the U.S. border and in Mexico. Most notably, 2 turned up last December at the murder of Border Patrol agent Brian Terry in Arizona. And documents obtained by CBS News indicate some of the weapons were recently found at a drug cartel shooting of a Mexican government helicopter. Even insiders appeared awed by the scale. 6 months into the investigation in March of last year, a senior ATF attorney under the Justice Department commented, "Every time I read this case, I'm amazed at the amount of firearms we're talking about." Acting ATF Director Kenneth Nelson and his deputy William Hoover were said to be briefed weekly on the investigation. ATF Special Agent John Dodson worried about all those guns hitting the streets.
I don't think anybody really fathoms how long we're going to be dealing with this. I mean, the gun is not going to go away. It's not a one-time use.
Dodson and 2 other ATF agents will testify at a hearing next Wednesday. Monday's hearing will explore whether the Justice Department obstructed justice in withholding information from congressional investigators. That agency says it's cooperating with the Inspector General's probe.
Oh,
Chris?
good.
Cheryl, the ATF's policy of kind of clipping the little guy in order to land the big fish, according to your report, has translated to way too many guns on the street. So, I mean, is there any proof that this actually worked in any instances?
Not yet. The idea was to try to take down a major cartel. That didn't happen. Insiders say they still hope that evidence that they've gleaned from some of this operation that went on over 15 months may eventually help do that. So far, it has not done that. And the argument on the other side from the insiders who did not approve of the strategy said, you never let one gun walk. It's too dangerous, even if you're trying to get the big fish.
All right, CBS's Cheryl Atkinson in Orlando for us this morning. Cheryl, thank you.
Eric Holder. Anybody remember this fellow? American lawyer who served as 82nd Attorney General of the United States, 2009 to 15. Let's look. I don't know. We'll see if they put it in here. Holder became the first sitting sitting Attorney General to be held in contempt of Congress. Lied. During the investigation of what? Operation Fast and Furious. ATF Gunwalker. The Justice Department's Inspector General under Obama refused to prosecute him and later cleared him of charges. Holder was succeeded by Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Okay. This is big shit. Big stuff. Did Fast and Furious ever really get shut down? Are we talking about United States? Obviously. Well, we'll go there another day. Is that what's going on? The guns and Bergerman and Lucky and Trudeau, it's all helpful to them in a disgusting way. They always use this shit to go off and do other things, whether it's Project Wide Awake or the bill or the paperwork that they've had sitting around for months. They've drafted up to pull guns. That's not what that was about. It's the underlying issue. There's very strong evidence towards it. And I've been saying it for a while. Fast and Furious. I don't know. And all these things, only one day, whenever anybody decides to archive and do keyword searches after AI has scanned every video, it will show the progressive timeline of when I was saying stuff. And it's not fucking like yesterday. This is really, really serious stuff. People are murdered needlessly because of this garbage. Did they shut it down or did they continue? Oh, this is so much bigger than Mr. Biggs. Fucking huge. Way bigger. Way, way, way bigger. This is something our country has never seen before. Never seen before. Keep going back and forth, getting guns. Ending up in the hands of wrong people who obviously don't mean good things. Oh, they were just for his little personal collection. I think time will tell. It's a theory, but there's a lot of evidence. And how much did, say, Leather know or Campbell know? If my theory is correct, how much did they know? Was it that Leather woke up that morning and he's like, oh, fuck. You know, we've been looking at this guy or something or other, but then the pieces all fit and he's like, oh, no. Oh, no. Now am I going to have to deal with that? Why would he even be concerned about this in the morning of the 19th? It's all still happening, and he's worried about fast and furious questions. And again, try and find me some other reference to it. I don't think he's talking about movies. Whilst this is still going on, he's like, fast and furious questions? How am I going to handle that? Are they going to come up? And they're sending in private consulting firms to check with the upper management. DOJ is thoroughly vetting documents. Let's have a look at some more here. In respect to just the ledgers. Okay. Via email, July 4th. Oh, really? Honorable Thomas Cromwell, Commission Counsel Director. Dear Mr. Cromwell, read disclosure issues, letters of June 24th, 2022 and June 30, 2022. This is what the letter that Campbell was, Leather was referring to. Sorry, in the Leather interview that's being referred to by Lori Ward. Further to your letter of June 30th, 2022, here is a list of documents referenced by the letter of June 24, 2022, that contain additional pages that were initially withheld for review. Superintendent Campbell. Total pages 136 in that ledger. 49 to 52. We all know about those pages, right? Those are the ones that they're having a shitstorm on Parliament Hill about. Superintendent Campbell, different one. 12 to 17. Superintendent Campbell, another ledger. 23 to 25. Chief Superintendent Chris Leather, 35 to 48, comma, 52 to 54. Chief Superintendent Janice Gray, John Robbins' wife, 23 to 25. And Inspector Murray Markachu, 8 and 9. All pages initially withheld, have been disclosed, with the exception of 3 pages from this notebook of Chief Superintendent Janice Gray, which are forthcoming. Yum. Lori Ward. Let's look at, I reviewed this document. I think people just tune me out. It fucking makes me so mad. July 15, 2021, Cromwell. 2021, July. I want to know how much they're really fucking holding back here. How much? 2021, albeit a year ago. But are they still withholding to this level? Joint Federal Provincial Commission, not inquiry, commission, April 2020. They don't want to get caught in paper lying about this stuff and saying, inquiry. Anybody who's saying that's got their head up their ass. Nova Scotia mass casualty. This is in response to subpoena to produce documents directed to Lee Bergerman, Assistant Commissioner, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, dated June 15th, 2021, and signed by Commissioner J. Michael McDonald, Mass Casualty Commission. The subpoena. So that when they do that in brackets, it meaning referred to in the future. Legal stuff. Produce documents to the RCMP. Canada's document productions containing items requested of the RCMP in the subpoena have been provided to Dave McNeil as follows. Okay, and then you get a list, right? Look at the dates they're disclosing. Still disclosing, still disclosing, right up until this letter is written, 27. Records in all of these productions are therefore disclosed, and copies have been provided either unredacted or partially redacted where indicated. Continuing. As well, there are certain records which are responsive to the subpoena, but privilege is claimed over the entirety. Remember, I also did the video about solicitor-client privilege with no fucking proof. Why? You have no solicitor listed in that fucking email. Lie. None of the parties involved in that email were solicitors. And the addressees are blacked out. I don't think that it would, if they showed that, it would apply because there's no lawyers involved. There are certain records are responsive to the subpoena, but the privilege is claimed over the entirety. These records will be identified within a forthcoming list or lists of privileged documents. Privilege my ass! The following records have not been disclosed for the reasons stated herein. Sub-item 2 requested in the subpoena. Roman numeral 4. File coordinators, updated task identification and completed actions. Love to see 703. Waiting. Inventory Excel spreadsheet. Explanation. Updated copy to be provided in forthcoming RCMP production. Again, these may or may not have been produced. Number 7. Records, occurrences, and calls emergency services pertaining to the events April 1819, including 911 call center audio recordings. All dispatched radio audio recordings. Those are the logs. All the fucking logs. You know, the ones I bitch about. All vehicle dispatches and related event and audio transcripts. Both inter and intra-agency within the RCMP. Documents have been disclosed, but hold on. Some additional records have been located and are pending. Transcripts for certain recordings have not yet been created, but will be provided once complete. This is an easy one, like the ledger. Just pass over the ledger and we're done. Pass over the audio tapes, the webcam, the dash cams, all of that stuff, we're done. No, they can't. But they're going to lie and say, documents have been disclosed. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Body-worn camera footage, including 2 hours pre and post events, if applicable. No such documents exist. Well, last I checked, video is not a fucking piece of paper. And Ert wears cameras, so we know there is video. Number 10, GPS tracking of all police response vehicles 1819 with associated integrated mapping software. All existing GPS tracking of responding RCMP vehicles have been provided, other than responding vehicles. Excuse me? Other than the vehicles that actually responded. Other than. We've given you all of them. Now, anybody who goes through the records knows we only have some, and they're sketchy. Lori. From Halifax RCMP district, continuing, other than responding vehicles from Halifax district, which will be provided forthcoming RCMP production. Further to discussions with council for the commission, mapping software is proprietary and cannot be provided. Who paid for it again? The families. You. Me. I own it. Number 9. Footage, photos, correspondence from officers' personal phones, April 18 and 19, related to the events. Produced. Okay, when I see the word produced, that means I've done it. No, a qualifier once again. Additional materials pending. Produced, but not really. Only some. Number 14. assignment duty sheets, and computer records pertaining to assigned equipment. You know, radios, guns, like C8s, you know, the ones that didn't get signed out. Additional items have been located and will be provided as soon as possible. Is this kind of like what they were talking about in the meeting? About withholding ledgers? Slightly over now, 3 weeks ago. Give me a fucking break. COVID staffing protocols. That one actually is important. Why? They don't want to show people that they have been providing substandard and violating their contracts because, well, they might get kicked out if that were to come to light. Produced additional materials pending. Not really produced. Sorry. Number 15, email communications, written, electronic, otherwise, pertaining to supervisory notifications April 18 and 19, disclosed in previous productions, but additional communications containing duplicate situational reports will be forthcoming. I have a feeling that there's additional information on the SIT reports, otherwise you wouldn't need to say it. Section 20, ERT communications and independent TAC channels. I've been waiting for this one. All have been provided with the exception of TAC Channel 1, which is forthcoming. I don't see any TAC Channel 1. I certainly haven't heard any of them. Have you? Have you watched any of these videos? To which they certainly have all of them. Section 21, ERT debriefing report, will be provided pending resolution of a technical issue with a PDF document. This is the government. They've got so many fucking goddamn bells and whistles. They can't figure out a PDF document. Come on. Seamus can even figure out PDF documents to an extent. I have to deal with it all the fucking time. Flattening your fucking images because you fucking stick stuff in there so it can't even be OCR'd. Give me a break. A PDF document issue? No. Section 38. Or request 38. Oh, sorry. 36. Notes and reports from the Office of the Fire Marshal. No such documents are in the possession of the RCMP. Not sure what that's about. I don't know why they would be requesting that, but maybe the Fire Marshal is saying they're in the possession of the RCMP. And now they're saying, no, we don't have it. 38. Notes and reports obtained from the fire service responders. There are no such documents in the possession of the RCMP. Obviously, somebody sent them over there. So I'm thinking, yeah, maybe they do have it. And it doesn't make sense that they don't have possession of these reports because that would be part of their investigation. So, yeah, I would think that they do actually have them. Redacted confidential human source reports associated to Gabriel Wortman. No such documents exist. Human source. Let's fuck off with the CI nonsense. We're way past that. I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm tired of it. No CI can go to the Brinks facility. None. Zero. Zip. No duty member can go to the Brinks facility. That's from inside. Only a white shirt. Somebody with very high clearance can go. Redacted confidential human source reports associated to Lisa Banfield, if applicable. No such document exists. Redacted confidential human source reports associated to James Banfield, if applicable. No such document exists. Redacted confidential human source reports associated to Brian Brewster, if applicable. By the way, James Banfield shit, I've never seen boo on James Banfield. Everything blacked out. Everywhere. He's more of a dark person than anybody I've seen. Odd. Well, RCMP may be handing cash again, and I understand where you're coming from. Handing cash in parking lots of Tim Hortons and not Brinks. But that's the RCMP handing the cash, right? So they're the ones in the possession of the cash. RCMP. We're talking something really big, and funnily enough, I don't even think it's in this country. Don't think possible. Just floating it. Agent provocateur files. Ooh. Related to this investigation and investigation into Lisa Banfield. You know, like red coats, possible giddy, possible people who troll chats, disinfo people, you know, ducks, things like this. No such document exists. I called huge BS on that one. Operational plans pertaining to undercover operations related to this investigation, if applicable. And no such document exists. Don't worry. He just assaults his girlfriend because she wanted to stay with him. And then kills innocent people. Right. Indo. Surveillance requests. Associated surveillance reports related to this investigation, if applicable. No such documents exist. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's worded rather vague. Fintrack kind of, in a way, falls under that, right? I thought flags were getting thrown on that one. Not red flags. Not the bullshit suggestive programming shit. Fuck off, please. Communications pertaining to the request of additional resources in response to April 18 and 19. Produced additional materials pending. So not really. Communications from assigned police vehicle mobile workstations. Well, we don't sign into it today. April 18 and 19. Produced additional materials pending. Incoming and outgoing recorded phone calls into RCMP detachments pertaining to this investigation, if applicable. No such document exists. I know where this one comes from. They're not happy. Obviously, they record the fucking phone calls. No, actually, we don't have anything. Notes, reports, internal, external correspondence pertaining to air support resources. Documents have been disclosed. Transcripts related. Transcripts related. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I only care. That's all I've ever asked is for the eyes, the ears, and the ability to present what I have found, and other people can do with that what they want. That's all. I don't ask for money. I don't want books, deals. I don't want nothing. In fact, one day some of that may come out. Have yet to be created. Transcripts of the audio have been yet to be created, but will provided once complete. You know, the narrative that keeps getting written. Internal correspondence surrounding the response to the events produced. Additional materials pending. Moratorium of destruction. Intra email. All of the fucking emails between each other. They should be asking for the fucking Gmails too, not just the personal phones. Correspondence with external agencies surrounding response to events produced, but not really. Internal communications related to communication products produced, not really. Some more coming. Documentation, notes, correspondence related to the investigative actions taken by RCMP member Greg Wiley. May 2011, to corroborate the information received by Corporal Greg Densmore, who wasn't very happy that his name got dumped, Truro Police Services pertaining to Gabriel Wortman and the May 2011 Officer Safety Bulletin. You know, the one that was destroyed. I wonder if I still have that up here. Give me one moment. Where is that? Fuck off. I had it up this morning. Purged. I like the reference. Oh, if you were purging stuff and you wrote about it. Bad news, Brown. I know. Maybe I won't be able to find it right now. Reports. Okay. I'll have to find it in here. One moment. Down towards the bottom. Remember I showed you this? Sure, I didn't take the... I've seen it again, so I can definitely find it. HDF Communications are also working closely with H-Strong investigative team, preparing more strategic media releases into the future. Nova Scotia DOJ was fully briefed by the CO last evening on the release of the CINS bulletin by Truro Police Service. Not yet been released. We had previously briefed DOJ weeks ago of the existence of the 2011 CINS bulletin and the contents within. If it's purged, how the fuck would you be able to say, A, it exists? This is back, way back. This is May. Weeks ago. How would you know about it if it was purged? And how would you know the contents? But there's another neat little reference I came across here. Let me see here. Janice Gray. Oh, you know, some of those pages are missing. Don't know if they've been produced. They say they have, but I don't know. This is on the 19th, I believe. Let me just check. Oh, maybe not. Sorry. No. So the 24th. The 24th. Oh, the 24th is a very special day. Cross-country goo going on. Not that it's goo, but all kinds of parades and fire departments and everybody coming out. Absolutely should, of course, for Heidi, but, you know, it's kind of backburnered other people. And once again, it was a skirt. The RCMP pissing their pants. So we had to have that same day as the press conference, which was never streamed live. '24, they do a lot of stuff on 24. I'm not going to go there right now. Scott McCrozen. Right. Okay. So this is Scott I think it's McCrozen, is the RCMP legal. He's a civilian. He's the one who signed off on Darren's affidavit, you know, a year later. Okay. Privileged report. Privileged. What privileged here about this report? Arrow down. Officer Safety Bulletin. Dwayne. Preliminary inquiries. Mike Flanagan. I can't make that out. My eyes are bad. CISNS. Officer Safety Bulletin. Email. Service debrief. 2011. ACIS report. What's that word? Purge. Officer Bulletin. What does that say? Did you literally write about fucking purging this? Purge. Uh-oh. No source, web briefer and reports. True. McNeil. Courtesy call. Or not, I don't know, maybe inventory, I'm not sure. Steps taken liability. This is where their head is, up their ass. But if she wrote about purging stuff, which they knew about, how the hell would you not know about it in order to purge it? Please stop destroying stuff. Uh-oh, that would be a problem. Sorry, Janice. I know you're out. Maybe it's karma. You know? She'll know what I'm talking about. Documentation notes. So apparently they have nothing to do with Greg Wiley. Nothing to do with the report. You know, the one that then they're like, oh yeah, well, we found it under a rock. Operational plans related to investigative file and financial reports supporting funding for Project H Strong. This would be really good. I want to see how much fucking money you spent, where, and all the glowy goo you got in the background. I'm tired of it in my chat. I'm tired of it in my fucking Discord, our Discord. I'm tired of all the games in Do and Co, and I'm not a stupid man. No, this is so big. No such documents exist. They don't even have a budget. They don't have a budget. Really? So they just took that out of their regular everyday expenses. They just happen to have millions of dollars sitting around. Yeah. And they didn't even write about it. It's just off the books, you know. Presentations relating to 1819 and known information with respect to Gabriel Wortman and Associates to be provided in forthcoming RCMP production. Oh, Lori. McPhee, what you doing over there? Give me a break. Just a second. Updates. Due to ongoing and active nature of RCMP investigation into the events of April 18, 19, 2020 and ongoing prosecutions resulting from that investigation, relevant records continue to be created and updated. Oh, you need to create things. Yeah. Updates will continue to be provided in relation to investigative file materials, in particular records from the RCMP ENR 3 filing system. Okay, this is some internal goo that they've got over there. Who is it? Wayne doesn't even know how to fucking use it. This is why they just throw the tech away. They can't use it. Oh, we need more. Related to the investigation have been provided up to June 28. Any records created, I'm presuming 2021. Sorry, 2021. Yes, this document. So again, this is a year old. This is a year old. So what has been produced in that year? I have no idea. Some of this I have seen some evidence of. I don't know. But definitely major pieces are missing. And of course, even the premise of this video is demonstrative of how they're still holding material back. Why? Not a hard one. Any records created after this date in ENR 3 will be provided on a monthly basis as the investigation and prosecutions move forward. You're on a time schedule? Just give it. Sub items 1. The witness lists requested are attached to this letter and tabs 1 and 2. I'd love to see this list. Haven't seen it yet. Want to know who are the 400, which actually was just tasks, I believe, though the tasks are into, I think, over 1,700. I don't think they spoke to 400 witnesses, though. There were 400, and he did stipulate that, and I called him on that. And later he said, wow, that's Campbell. Actually, it was 400 things to do with witnesses. You know, different questions and things like that we wanted to ask. And witnesses. So how many fucking witnesses did you really talk to? And where are they? Personal information related to the mandate of the mass casualty has been provided, unredacted, and is not to be disclosed publicly unless in accordance with items G5 and G6 in terms of the reference of the Mass Casualty Commission and within the Order of Council PC 20-82 dated October 21st, 2020. We ask the Commission be particularly mindful of the following. Lists of calls by the Operational Communications Center. These lists contain details of calls received April 18 and 19, both related and unrelated to the mass casualty of the dates, while details of the unrelated calls provide a full picture of simultaneous events, i.e. they're busy or whatever, to the Commission. The details of those calls should be redacted if public release is contemplated. Sure, that seems understandable. I'd like to have somebody other than the DOJ vetting this, though, rather than them just saying, you know, that's actually an unrelated call, so that's why we covered it up. Have somebody look at it and say, yeah, okay, I understand why you're covering it up. Under examination, including, but not limited to, medical history, addresses, personal opinions, and views of the individual. Okay, that one, again, I've discussed this before because I've read this document before. That, I believe, is pertaining to the discussion of Lily in the OCC. These little pieces here. Personal opinions and views of the individual, views or opinions of another individual about the individual, and or the name of the individual, where it appears with other personal information related to individual, or where disclosure of the name itself would reveal information about the individual. Okay, well now we've got unknown female. You follow? Discussing Lily. They got all their little fucking shit built in, man. Scheduling information for personnel, which would directly or indirectly reveal personal information of individuals, such as to leaves of absence or ODS, off-duty sick status, family-related information, etc. Well, might possibly show you have staff that aren't working. I was told that there was a nice little thing that they could use as within the RCMP and claim COVID and just have basically a paid vacation. I don't know, but staffing levels is paramount because A, it's obviously that evening. B, and they're stipulating too that they're running teams of 4, 3 to 4 when they should be running 6, right? So you're violating your contract. You're providing substandard service, which we pay for, so we didn't get what we should have. Obviously, April 18, 19 shows that. But again, I would say they had lots of people sitting around. One moment, please. Sorry. Obviously, they had people sitting around with the Deox sandwich bus in Great Village, probably because they weren't on the red-in list. My suspicion, my opinion. Only certain people could go. Keep it small, keep it tight, keep it siloed. Information regarding employees' employment history or status, leave status, health history, health status, family-related information, or performance issues. Don't want to know about those code of conducts and shit like that possibly might be hanging around. That one, not good. Non-relevant information. Non-relevant. Certain non-personnel information, non-personal information relating to RCMP members and staff have been redacted, as it is in itself non-relevant and of private nature, but it's not personal. These are primarily human resourcing identifiers, position numbers, employee identification numbers, and regimental or HRMIS numbers. Why? You want to hide somebody's reg number. Actually, when asked, they have to produce that, I believe. So, yeah. To the extent that this information has been released unredacted to the commission within produced records, the release was inadvertent, and we ask that this information not be released publicly. Oops, sorry. We weren't supposed to do that, but we did. Could you please make sure you don't tell anybody in the public about it? This information also appears in some audio recordings of calls with Operational Communication Center. We are unable to redact audio and video recordings. Oh, where is that all, by the way? And it is our understanding that the commission has the ability to do so. Should those audio recordings be considered for release, we ask that the non-relevant, non-personal employee identifiers be redacted. Specified public interest. I have a naggy feeling the RCMP are purposely making themselves look incompetent. I don't know how long you've been in chat, oh dear, but I would say it has relation to this.
Hyphen national, hyphen SNR, meaning senior management.
Sorry, just hold on. Where is it here?
Child victims know.
No one at that point when he's speaking to me.
Here we go.
And then the notation fast and furious questions. What was that in reference to?
16 seconds.
I don't recall.
Bullshit. Bullshit. And I think maybe he's trying. I really think he may be trying. He's trying. He's fiddled with his notebooks in a way. He's doing some things to try and tell people. He's setting up dead man switches around. This video is worth it in its entirety. I don't just sit around and do them for no reason. Anyway, I don't know if you caught that. Glad to have you aboard. For what reason would that be? Specified public interest. The subpoena directs the provision of records related to the events of April 1819 and subsequent investigation. Some of the records, if released publicly, could have detrimental impacts on public safety and security and/or the safety and security of individuals, or perhaps to your organization. While these records are made available to the Commission for fulfillment of its mandate, we do not waive the provisions of Section 37 of the Canada Evidence Act pertaining to specified public interest in respect to these records and oppose their general release. In particular, RCMP scheduling information. They don't want people to know they're short-staffed. They're violating their contracts. The RCMP does not publicly release scheduling information on the basis that public knowledge of team composition, shift times, durations, members working and off-duty hours, number of members on duty, particularly in smaller detachments, staffing levels, and other related information is publicly known significantly raises the risk of physical harm to members and to the public. Yes, if you don't have the officers to cover the area, I do believe that the public is at risk. Yes. Significantly raises the risk of physical harm to members and the public, or exposes vulnerabilities in certain cases. You have no problem telling people you don't work 2 till 6 on call. To the extent that this information is to be reported upon, it must be done in sufficiently general manner as to not endanger the public and RCMP members. Why would the RCMP be in danger? The members. Nobody cares. They care about getting policed, safety, security. They care about getting value for their money. They care about people fulfilling their contracts. That's what they care about. Can you protect us? Can you do what you promised you would do? Oh, it's not. They're just slightly confessing to it. RCMP staffing levels. Some information pertaining to the staffing levels in particular shortages, especially in smaller detachments, would expose vulnerability with respect to policing coverages, i.e. liability because you didn't fulfill your contract. And then the whole can is open. But a lot of people can start suing. Which means a lot of people can just free paychecks. I found a few of them in here. I've identified them. Might as well, so that then you can get them to sit down in discovery and find out what really is going on. Records provided accordingly to those in production 27 sent to David McNeil today. These documents are subject to confidentiality agreement in respect to RCMP documents signed June 25th, 2021. Chief Dave McNeil. They don't want you to know about that. Clawback agreement. For further clarity, the provisions of the clawback agreement between the Commission and the Attorney General of Canada on behalf of the Government Canada signed March 17th, 2021 continues to be in force and effect. Oh, no. I trust this is satisfactory. Sincerely, Lori. CC, David McNeil. You know, what was it they were trying to say? Oh, it's because if you live in rural areas, you're just dumb and alcoholic and men are just beating up women. Really? Or could it be you're not just giving them service? And again, I would say, don't lose sight of what's underneath it. They're happy to go Drunky O'Brien and Sandwich Time and sewer people's careers. That bus keeps on rolling. What's motivating the bus? Could it be Fast and Freezies? Oh, I think so. Too much stink, too much glow. Always been in this picture. Always. Yes, I don't like people saying that, because they put that seed out right at the beginning, and I played that. McNeil, Premier McNeil, and stuff like that. They right away, everybody, we'll probably never know. We'll probably never know. They're planting it in people's heads. They have been the whole time. You'll never know. Don't worry about it. Just go away. Go away. No. Don't. Continue. Push for the truth. You will find it. The more that this process continues, the longer, the worse it's going to get. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Because there's people looking. I like looking. You like looking. Some of you. Some people, it's a movie. They don't really care. It's entertainment. And some just glow in the dark. And you can fuck right off. Because the rest of us do happen to care. I don't ever want to hear somebody tell me what I had to hear that night. I don't want to ever hear it again. And I don't want to watch another person get treated who's a friend like that. And the families and friends that I made along the way, no fucking way. And nobody should stand by passively and allow this shit to happen. They've taken our country and they have fucking destroyed it. And we let them. But enough is enough. I love the RCMP. Previous to this, I shouldn't say that. I had questions in certain cases and certain things, and the corruption I could see. Yeah. But I'll tell you, this has gone way out of perspective. The questions about the McNeil report and well, what do you do? What do you do? You just keep passing off these recommendations. Of course they do. They have the built-in fail-safes. Well, we didn't do it. Sorry, oops. Just give us another chance. We'll get that one figured out. Then it happens again. Then it happens again. No. You can either police and you can do your job, or you're gone. And somebody else will come and fill it for you. And frankly, a lot of people in this country are finished with the RCMP. They're finished. They want it to be insular. They want it to be institutionalized. They wanted all their own stuff. It was them and us. It was never all of us together. I didn't even know that fucking story. I didn't even know that story about the mad trapper until this all happened. I know day-to-day kind of goo here and there. Always get your man. Hey, wow. Fantastic. What happened? You got bloat, sandwich buses, abbreviations, acronyms. You don't even know what you're talking about. You try and lose people intentionally. You talk about yourself in the third person. I mean, really, that they're talking about themselves in the third person. This is ridiculous. That's not the way people operate. That's called obfuscation. That's called hiding. That's called coward. And lots of communities, it's not like I'm saying anything even remotely close to that. Nowhere. A, no harm should ever be done to anybody. B, I don't call for the removal, whatever all that defund goo, what a bunch of shit. Our society would be chaos without policing and law. We need it, but we need community policing, community-based policing. People can use notebooks and not worry about that. They can't use, E and G3. We don't even understand what the fuck is going on. Nobody knows who's doing what, siloing, running undercover ops constantly, asking for more money, just constantly. Maybe we should just get some more money. Maybe we should just get some more money. Maybe we can hire more bloat, more fucking stuff so we can hide what we're doing. Meanwhile, we can't do the most basic. We're going to crush any member who speaks out against that. We're going to go after them. We're going to go after families. We're going to do, where is your head? Up your ass. Who pays you? You've lost perspective. Maybe your five eyes garbage has got to your head. We run you. Not in a bad way. Nobody's saying, gotta do this, gotta do that. No, they're just, please uphold the law. Please provide policing. Please protect us. Please be kind to us. The general civilians, criminals, please go after them and put them in jail. Anyway, I definitely have a lot more I'm going to bring. No, 3 weeks is not a holiday for me. Yeah, I was watching. Oh, you're tinfoily. I just watch everything, try to, which of course I can't do. But you know, this is my downtime. This is what I do in my downtime. So I was watching the Alex Jones trial. Just something to do, right? Sandy Hook. The officer that was in charge, I loved listening to his testimony. The officer who was in charge, so that would be, you know, Jerry type position, Jerry Rose. His testimony was amazing. This is way back. He's like, you know, we never had to deal with anything like this before. We had 20, I don't know how many he said, 26 agencies. We were all working together. I mean, it was a gong show. We put our information together. We put it out on the website right away as we could. And first and foremost priority, he said it was on the fucking wall. Families. Families. Gonna do anything about this guy. We'll do the investigation. We'll try and figure out if there's something else going on, but it's the families. And he's retired. And he's like, I'm still here. I never retire. This case will always be mine. Always. And you know why I know he's not shitting? Because of the tears that the family, 2 family members gave him there, and cried and hugged him. And he cried when he was talking about the boy victim. He was telling the truth. Maybe he's got some built a bit of a career. That's true. He has. To share the knowledge of what he learned. Great. Do it. So that the rest of us don't end up in a toilet. Totally different than what's gone on here. Totally. Those families, from what I understand, aren't pissed. Pissed with him. They really appreciate him and what he did. And what his staff did. All the police officers that put in their time to figure out what happened. Good. What happened here? You decided to go back in time? Stone Age? You forgot? What did he say on the butcher block on the wall? The families. The families. Which is just representative of all the rest of us. And that's why the families, the 23, are the champions in this one. They are figureheads for your family, for my family. Because it could be anybody. Anybody. And if you don't think it could be you, you're really fooling yourself. Really fooling yourself. They don't even take care of their own members. They're too busy covering their own ass. And I would say, yeah, Fast and Freezies. Fast and Freezies. Look at Fast and Freezies. I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I'm just leaving it there. My opinion. My opinion. That's all. But I read. And I'm not stupid. Anyway. Been 3 hours. It is now almost 1 o'clock down there. Please do share. Please. I don't care. I really don't. I mean, to some extent, some of this bothers me from time to time. When the only thing I've ever asked for is the credit for one reason. the credit for us, right? And it's collective. So that we can bring in the people because we do the hard work. Somebody else wants to motor along and say, hey, look at me. I did it. No. Because then the real truth is hidden. That's you guys doing that. It is you. Who do it for free? Who do it because you care about your family? Who do it because you care about their family? The 23? Because you care about your country and your community. Wow. Pretty selfless. Pretty interesting. Fast and freezy popsicles. He knew what he was talking about. He knew. It's not a movie. Unless somebody can prove me otherwise. Cars, guns, cross-border, stink, glow. Have a fantastic rest of your morning on the East Coast. God bless you all. Please do share. God bless you. God bless the 23.